And once you figure this out, you'll see the difference, because we have been told move boxes, move boxes, move boxes. All the PE firms, move boxes, move boxes, move boxes. We've moved more boxes in the last 10 years than we've moved in the first 100 years, because that's what the economy we've gone to. And then the margins are suffering. As soon as we have a slowdown, we have nothing to do, because we're built on moving boxes.
From Sarah Systems and Billy Go, this is No BS with Billy Stevens and Landon Brewer, the unfiltered, straight-shooting podcast that dives deep into the heart of home service trades to uncover the truth about running your business. You're entering the No BS zone with Billy and Landon.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No BS with Billy and Landon. And my partner here in crime, Mr. Landon Brewer. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, you're privileged to sit here with the one, the only Billy Stevens. How's it been going?
Oh, it's been going great. It's getting even better. What was that all about?
I have no idea. I'm trying to be creative.
You trying to get out of that $20 you owe me or something?
Oh, man. You know, I was sitting here thinking about one of the shows we recorded recently, and actually I think I was telling you about. And, you know, we had Adam on, and, you know, just what a remarkable manager Adam is, and how he, you know, like he's just dialed in. He's got the right tonality. You just can't push him off. You know, he just doesn't get flustered no matter how many ranting idiots he's got around him. Like, you can tell that the guy has just the absolute right demeanor for the job. And, you know, I wonder if you actually had the forethought of like seeing that 20 years prior, you know, when he was doing the motocross thing, because that, you know, that what we talk about, the discipline of the best that separates the best of the best in motocross is like less than 2 seconds, right? The difference between making millions and just getting by is less than 2 seconds.
Yep.
And having that discipline and just kind of like that ingrained into him, is that what, you know, really drew you to him?
You know, I think what drew him to me was obviously he was, I don't want to say this in a way that, you know, that might excite you. But he was actually really beautiful on the motorcycle. I mean, he just had a way, he just made it look so easy. He's really extremely smooth, and there's very few people that ride like that. It just the bike was doing all the work and his body never moved. It was just insane. You know, he had a really good style. And so that's what drew him to me and got me to meet them and talk to him. But then as I got to know him over time, no matter how he did, he stayed the same, right? And he never got too high, too low. When things were going bad, he's like, you know what? I just got to do better. When it was great, he's like, yeah, I still need to do better. I'm like, oh, I like both of those answers in both situations.
Unshakable. And going in this, you know, he knows what direction he's going. He's unshakable.
Yeah,
you can't. I get the feeling you just can't screw with him. And, you know, he just doesn't get flustered.
He doesn't get flustered. He stays calm. He stays cool, and he knows the answers. So it even makes him even more calmer and cooler. And he's really
so much better of a GM than I could ever be. It takes you like 15 seconds to get me riled up.
And, you know, I'm the kind of the same way. I don't get really riled up. That's not really how I get, but I do get frustrated. Internally, I'll get frustrated, and then at some point externally it explodes or whatever. You're right. I just like, come on, man, you can do this. And I learned a lot from him. He just is able to keep it the same. Everybody knows where he's coming from. And I think that's why he's been so successful with working with technicians and managers and people in the office over the years, is because they know what they're going to get. And so that consistency. So I'm like, if you can be this consistent, we'll just make everything consistent, because it obviously works. And I just thought that was really one of our best shows. So everyone listening, if you didn't catch last week's show with Adam from Billy Go, he pretty much tells you how he runs Billy Go and how it just grows so quickly because of the way he does it. And he's not chaos. He's not in the middle of any chaos. It just keeps it nice and smooth and easy, and just everybody just kind of like copies that. When you have that as leadership, everybody else will do it, right? And so, yeah, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I watched it back this morning before we came on, and I thought he did a great job. I do want to shout out to my producer, Tim. I think Tim took it to another level. About 28 minutes and 15 seconds or so, there's this really cool spot. If you don't watch the whole video, which I really think you should, there's some really good stuff there. But just, you got to watch the 28 minutes and 15 seconds to whatever, 30 minutes. It's about 2 minutes there that my producer just really personified our man, Landon. You got to check it out.
Yeah, I used to like Tim. Used to like him. I was actually going to say, Adam did such a great job in last week's show. You should go watch it, listen to it, but you should just fast forward between any talk of Billy and I. Anytime we're talking, just fast forward and wait till you hit Adam.
Yeah, I think you do that. And then, of course, Adam was doing such a great job. I guess Landon had to one-up him or something. That's how he got the spotlight at 28 minutes. So go check it out. So anyway, that's a great show, and I appreciate it. So today's show, for all of you still hanging on, wondering what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about
the opposite.
The opposite.
We're really going to talk about the opposite. That's why I brought it up. Not that we planned this out, but what we're going to be talking about today are, a couple of key things that's probably keeping, I don't know, what would you say, a majority of the listening audience from achieving the profitability that they want.
I would say this is one of the biggies.
I would say that Adam is the exception rather than the rule, right? Of all the GMs and managers that, line managers, any manager at any level that I've seen in any of these businesses, Adam is definitely on the top end of those managers. But why isn't he the rule instead of the exception, right? And we should get into that a little bit. But
yeah, we should.
From what I've seen, a lot, your business will only go as far as your leadership and management capabilities that you have, right? And yours is kind of evergreen because you've got that level of talent. Unfortunately, maybe it's just lack of experience or lack of experience seeing what other great managers look like and experiencing that. But I think a lot of people that get put into managerial roles as these businesses expand are, I guess the best way to say it may be subpar, maybe just, lacking the inherent managerial skills and training that is needed to be a good, effective manager. But yeah, I'd say that Adam's definitely the exception.
Well, I'm sure he appreciates it, and I really do, you saying that, and that's really awesome of you, Landon. I appreciate it. But, your business is a reflection of yourself, right? If you're the owner. Yeah. And if you're not doing the right job of hiring the right people in the right roles, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. You're going to get stagnant. Your business is not going to excel. It's going to get stuck. It's going to not make the money it should be making. And so we have to be mentors. We can't just give the job to someone just because they're great at being a tech or being a warehouse manager or whatever it is, that whatever reason you bring a guy in to run a department manager as a department manager. And so that's what we're talking about today, department managers. And what to fix with your department manager, because that department manager should be responsible he is responsible for the gross profit of the company and the margins that you need to make to be profitable. It should be someone else's job to be responsible for the overhead of the company, but for the COGS, the gross profits, the revenues, that's the department manager's responsibility. And I don't think we do a good job of putting the right people in those roles. In fact, there's a book called The Peter Principle, and it's by Lawrence J. Peter. And it talks about this specifically, we're going to talk about today, why do we promote people that are really good in their current role into a role that they're not going to be successful in? And so I would say the majority of department managers came from being a tech.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Yeah.
I see, majority of, a lot of times you take your best installer, make them install manager if you
Yep.
need one. You take your best, which is, I understand kind of why people would go down that path. It seems like the path of least resistance. It's like, oh, seniority or whatever, but it's just illogical. It's like, why would you take your, it's like taking, who's that guy, Shohei Ohtani or whatever that they say is like the best player in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taking him out of the field, out of his designated hitter or whatever position he's in, and throwing him as the coach.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
Yeah.
But we do that every day.
Right. We do. And I'll admit that I did do that with Adam, but I started Adam with the intent of making him a department manager, GM, and then vice president of the company. So that was the path I sent him through to learn the company, to learn the business.
Yeah, that's a good. I should say that just because they're the best doesn't mean they won't make the best managers. I'm just saying that what people tend to do is because they're good at that, they just automatically equate it to this, and it's a completely different position with
Yep.
completely different skill sets, and they thrust these people in there without the requisite knowledge, without the requisite managerial experience or training, and it's just like try and get them to repeat what you're doing.
Yes. And the first thing you got to do, if you bring in a department manager, whoever it is, you need to be able to open up your financials with that guy and make him responsible for those gross profits, for those COGS, for that revenue in that department. We have to do this with them and be transparent. And, I meet contractors all the time that they don't want anyone to see anything. It's so secretive, the things that they keep from the people that are responsible for generating these things: revenue, COGS, cost, and gross profit. And I think the reason why contractors don't want to be transparent with the financials, there's probably three things that pop into my head. Number one, and not sure of them themselves or how to manage them, the financial statements, right? That's probably number one. Number two is they don't really want them to know any details, but yet you're putting them in charge, the most important part of your business. They don't want to give them the details. And number three, we have a whole bunch of micromanagers, owners that micromanage that can't let go.
That can't do whatever on your right. It says delegate. Right?
That's right. That's right. They can't let go. And I meet these contractors and, that's the discussion. It's like, I'm like, dude, just let go. If you learn to let go, you'll be fine. Now you just can't stop paying attention. There's a process to letting go. And so this is really what today we're going to talk about the department manager side, and then maybe we'll do another show on letting go. How do you let go? How do you move on? So in this book, The Peter Principle, it's about this exact same thing. Why do we take the best tech, or maybe the tech that everyone calls if they need help with a situation, like they can't figure something out or whatever? Oh yeah, Joe Bob's the one everybody calls. That's the guy we make the department manager. On paper, it makes sense. Everybody's calling him already. But being a department manager isn't being everyone's buddy. Now you're responsible for the business. And so the business, you need to know the business. And we're not telling these department managers or teaching these department managers about the business. And that is where we're falling short and why we're not happy with our department managers. And so this is the number two thing that I discuss with companies that I'm mentoring, consulting with. It comes after learning how to read the financials, and then we work into the department managers. We don't get to the techs or any of that stuff. It's not stuff I'm going to help you with, because there's a lot of people that'll do that for you. We need to figure out the business so it all works. And so,
I've actually had success. I saw capabilities in people. Some of them didn't even have some of the classic managerial training, but they just had, they had the kind of the gift of speech, and they wanted to learn. And so I've had, a couple of people that have just literally followed me around, asked me questions, reviewed financials with me, went over protocols, like just sat and learned for months at a time. And those people, whenever I had a need, like, oh man, I need somebody to manage this, I'm like, you know what? It's this 22-year-old kid that's been studying here. I know it's not, I know he's younger than all of the technicians, but guess what? He's going to get in here. He's going to do these things, and the technicians are going to make more money, and they're going to love it. and it works out. So yeah, I think it's just the Peter principle. I think, to sum it up, is your organization will rise to the level of leadership, level and capabilities. It's not going to rise higher than that, right? And so most people don't even have visibility into where their limits are. It's like, I want to get to 50 million. What do I need to do? Well, you've got the capabilities of 20. So you got to figure out how to get the capabilities of 50 if you want to get to 50.
Yeah.
Right. And most people don't have that ability to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, whatever size you are, how do you get to the next million, right? Is those steps we need to take. You have to be capable prior to getting there. It just doesn't matter what level you're at. All right. So transparency. All right. They need to know how to read a financial statement. And if you don't know how to read one, you can't teach them how to read one. So before you get a department manager, you're going to have to learn how to read these financial statements. Okay. I mean, this is all I talk about all the time is financial statements. It's the number one thing I go to every time I'm doing consulting. It's what I go to first every time. And then I go into the department manager. Now then, they need to understand how to read them. You need to be transparent and open it up to them. They don't need to know anything below the line. Below the line to me is a gross profit. Okay. And everything above gross profit is what you need to be bonusing them on, because you do not bonus. I want to repeat this. You do not bonus on revenue. And all right, let me repeat it again.
We've talked about this before.
We have.
It bears repeating.
You do not bonus on growth. You do not bonus on revenue, because it doesn't matter if you don't get the margins. And here's where it all falls apart for you guys out there. And listen to this really well. What happens is you put this bonus program is based on bonus. Maybe there's a vague bonus. You put this bonus program that is based on revenue. And then you have a couple other things which you don't really need. And maybe a little bit of bonus on margin if you even do that. But the problem with putting the bonus on revenue is this. Now you've given them the keys to the pricing, which is going to kill your margins. And what I mean by that is you have a set price for a job. Let's say it's an install for $10,000. We just use round numbers here. We know they're higher or whatever. $10,000 or a water heater for $2,000, whatever it is. And they need to get the job, and their bonus is tied to revenue. Why do they care if they get $8,000 for that job, or $9,000 for that job, or $500 off on the water heater, or give them something for free instead of charging for it? Air scrubbers for free. I heard that one manager's giving air scrubbers free to get a job, to get jobs. And the gross margins on this company, the gross profit on this company was 34%. 66% of the cost of doing the job, the business, was all caught up in the COGS. 66%. Left 34% before we even got to overhead. And I see this every day. And so, and again, they were bonusing on revenue.
I think there's multiple reasons for that. One reason might be that the technician is also pseudo based on revenue, right? So if you've got a comp plan that doesn't discourage him from discounting, shame on you. If you've got a comp plan or a bonus plan that doesn't discourage your managers from discounting and maintaining margins, shame on you, right? It's, people just will tend to go to the easiest route if you give them a choice, right? And the easiest route is like, this customer needs this. They'll be happy with this. I'll give them it for this, and the company will get some money, and they'll see the numbers on the board, and I'll get a bonus, and that's the easiest way of going about it, right? The professional, intelligent way of going about it is what you're talking about, which is bonusing based on gross margin.
Yes, you have to do it that way. It's the only way you're going to do it, be able to make it. Because again, bonusing on revenue creates bad habits for the department manager and the technician, because you're paying them commission on what? Revenue. All right.
But Billy, I don't control the cost of the equipment.
Yeah, but you can control the cost of selling it to the consumer.
Exactly.
And you do efficient and simple processes. That's easy to control. And that's easy to get the profits that you need. We're focusing on the wrong stuff. We have been a manufacturer, distributor-based industry since the beginning of time. And all those manufacturers and distributors want you to do is what? Sell equipment. And so all their best practices are about selling equipment and paying commission on selling that equipment on the top line. And we wonder why we never make any money while their stock prices are through the roof and everybody's getting super rich at the distributors and the manufacturers, right? While we're all out here working our tails off. And the reason is because we're not thinking about our business. We're allowing other individuals to tell us how to run our companies.
That's amazing. I love the way you put that. Manufacturers, we've been in this manufacturing, distribution, facilitating business for so long that's what they tell us to do. The money's in the box, move the boxes, sell it for big dollars, et cetera, which, may not necessarily be incorrect, but it's not how we make money. How we make money is through efficient management of labor. We're labor brokers, and they're trying to get us to move boxes.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's a great way to put it.
And once you figure this out, you'll see the difference, because we have been told move boxes, move boxes, move boxes. All the PE firms, move boxes, move boxes, move boxes. We've moved more boxes in the last 10 years than we've moved in the first 100 years, because that's what the economy we've gone to. And then the margins are suffering. As soon as we have a slowdown, we have nothing to do, because we're built on moving boxes. 30%. I should have asked Adam this last week. This would have been a great question. Too bad we didn't get to it. But I believe 30% of our revenue is boxes. Let that sink in for a second. Because I found that a mix of service and some mix of plumbing install and some mix of plumbing service, I can get the margin better, higher.
Yep.
Right? Than just doing boxes. It takes a village to put in an AC system. It takes one person to do a repair. and so you got to have a mix. You got to have a good, solid mix. And so, again, it's important that we stop putting everything on revenue.
Impacts their margins. So, I don't know about you, but I negotiate pretty hard. But this year I got hit, especially with the new equipment coming out, with at least a 5% increase in equipment costs across the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, let's just say that equates to what? Minimum
$20,000 in my situation. Nothing.
Per let's call it, let's just say equipment went up $500 a pop on every install, right? Let's just say that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just completely ignore it. Most people say, oh, let's raise the price $500, or let's, they don't have a protocol of, hey, we got a price increase. It's going to negatively impact our margin unless we adjust for it. And so let's just say that your equipment target is 20% of revenue, right? So 20% of revenue, if you get a $500 increase in that 20%, how much do you have to increase your price point just to make up for it?
A ton.
It's more than $500.
It's more than 500 because you just gave your tech a raise too, or you're selling people raises. Everybody's on commission, right?
It's more than 1,000.
And so if you're paying 20, if you're
And then you got the techs, you got the install, you get everybody's on commission that gets a piece of it. You get the finance company. So, for every $500, you got to raise it $1,400 just to
Exactly.
maintain the margin.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what keeps driving this problem that we're having in this industry as an HVAC industry. And this is all relevant for plumbing, electrical, all this stuff. It matters. And so most companies, especially private equity, they only have two levers to pull. They can go and beat up their suppliers. That's lever number one, and raise prices is lever number two. And that's really all the levers that any of us have, except if you're not a private equity firm and you're an independent company, you're not beating up your suppliers at all. You're just taking it. If they tell you it's a 10% increase, you just take it. You don't ever question it. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, if you're listening right now, have you ever said, no, I'm not paying that? You never have. And so why not? Private equity's doing it. You're going to give me the best price. We're going to sell this many boxes, blah, 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 blah. So, but those are only two levers. That's all you have. With simplicity and efficiency, you add 100 levers to it, to what you can do. It's, and knowing where you need to focus. So on your department manager, you need to focus on the margin, because that's a lever, and that's a big lever. That's going to do way more than having someone constantly fighting on procurement for discounts, right? That's a big lever right there. Having your technicians have the ability to change pricing just to suit themselves. That's because the department manager's allowing it to happen, which means the owner's allowing it to happen. You can still sell at whatever price you need to make if you stick to your guns and make it happen. If you offer the ability for someone to discount a price and get a path of least resistance, your tech, your department manager, they're going to take it because it doesn't hurt them. I'm going to give you all a secret real quick. If you're an owner, I'm going to give you a secret real quick. Every single employee you employ right now thinks you're a millionaire. Now, you need to ask yourself, are you? Probably not. And so the only way to fix that problem is to be transparent and make them understand that you're not making all the money. And that's how we get ourselves in this situation where we're paying this extraordinarily high commission rates, and we just can't get out of that. And then we got spiffs, and we got bonuses, and we got all this different percentages for this. And you just created another nightmare. Now you got a payroll nightmare. You got all these things that happen from these decisions that we make. All right, here's your chance to rant. There's a 4-letter word that has created this, and it's what? Come on, your favorite word.
Spiff.
Guru.
Oh, guru. Guru.
Take another sip of that energy drink. You need to wake up.
I think it's, it goes beyond guru. I think it goes back
best
to
practice.
Even
all the best practices groups.
My beginnings in best practice. It was like, this is how you do it. This is how you do it.
Yes.
Sell, move boxes, increase your price. Like that's what, the go-to, if we couldn't get people to take strategic actions within their business that were, moving the needle, the go-to was always got to increase your price. You got to,
still
get
that
these
way.
guys on commission. You got to, instead of just, basic managerial principles, just have them increase their price and have them do this and sell more boxes and get some sales training. And so it goes beyond just the guru. It goes back to the best practice groups. But I don't even know if the best practice groups do what what you're talking about in terms of the transparency with the new hired managers. I think you got a multiple step, right? You got to make sure you find the right person that's got the capabilities. Then you have to be transparent and you have to educate that manager on how to move the needle, the cost of doing business, et cetera, understanding the financial statements, understanding the impact of discounting of financial statements and all of these things. And then you got to compensate correctly. You have to align the compensation with everybody to the margins that you're. Next is nobody really trains from a managerial standpoint. Nobody's, this is something that you probably just have to naturally have, or, I don't even know where you could go in our industry to get training for it. But leadership is not just being a motivator, right? Leadership isn't just going out and pounding your chest and inspiring people to sell stuff and, getting people excited and showing up. Leadership, the biggest part and probably the most important part of leadership is accountability, holding people accountable to the expectations that you set. And that's where almost everyone falls off the cliff.
By far. I don't know. I see I talk to 10 to 30, 10 to 20 contractors a week. And it's almost like they're all in the same company because it's just identical, the same problem, just over and over and over again. And again, because of the way we've been coaching over the last 20 years, right? Coaching has been great, but at the same time, it's not always the best way. And we have to have more levers to pull. And we can't just let this be a distributor, manufacturer based industry that basically dictates whether or not we make money or not. We can't if we want to make real money, and my gosh, folks, real money in this industry is a 25% cash flow. Is what it should be. And until you get that, I was doing that when I didn't have any software. I didn't have any software and I was doing that. And I was not because I was, more expensive or any of that stuff. Is because we started putting this transparency in place from the very beginning. And my technicians can read a financial statement. At least the top, above the line, again, above gross, right? They can read. And so we teach them what everything means. And so here we go. Summarize this. Department managers are only as good as how you can, as you make them, as you help them become better, right? They can't be bonused on revenue. You've got to stop that. They must be bonused on margins and improving margins. You have a minimum margin you got to hit, and then you need to improve on it to be paid extra. You need to understand that yourself so that you can implement this. You need to teach your technicians about it as well. I mean, there's a really easy thing that you can do at a meeting if you want your techs to realize how much it costs. A technician only is aware of the $100 of diesel or gas that he puts in his vehicle. He never thinks about the other vehicles that are in the company that are doing the same thing every day. And so when you show them a bill that's thousands and thousands of dollars for fuel only, it starts to hit at home to them that, oh my gosh, this does cost money to run a business. Just something as simple as that. Just tell them about that. Talk about that in one of your meetings. That's what you talk about. That's what we do, the transparency and how much things cost. And so be transparent. Stop discounting.
Absolutely.
There is a way to discount. That's why I built Sarah. I discount every day and never lower my price. Every day we're discounting, but never lower our price. So
that's great. That's great.
We give them the discount up front, but it is the price we need to be profitable. And so learn how we do that. I'll
tell you, this
very important.
This is going to be off on a tangent. You can cut this if you feel like it. But I was watching another podcast or an interview of some sort with The Rock. The Rock, the wrestler and actor. And he was recounting his early days when he was in the WWF. And he went to Vince McMahon and he said, it's time for me to negotiate my contract and he goes, who's currently the highest paid performer that you have? And the guy's name was Steve Austin. He's a Texas guy by you. And he says, okay, how much is he guaranteed? And he said, $1 million a year. And he goes, that's all I need to know. I want a $2 million a year guarantee. And rather than, saying no or saying you don't understand the business, he politely said, well, I think I'm open to that. But before I do that, I want to spend some time with the CFO of the organization, spend the next 3 months learning all the financials. I want you to understand the business of the entertainment business and how the business works. And then when you feel sufficient that because maybe you'll run this place someday, when you have that understanding, you'll come back and then we'll look and see what you think you should be able to make. And so he did this, he studied, he came back, and it was like a couple months later, and he says, well, I appreciate what you did for me. This has been very eye-opening, and I'll match the $1 million. And he said, I'm going to give you the 2. And here's why. Because now you have a business plan that shows me how you can get to 15.
Yep.
And I think that's, that perfectly sums up, what we need to do with our technicians.
Yes. That's exactly what you need to do. That's great. Why would I cut that? That was like your most genius moment in the 50 years I've known you.
It had to do with the WWF. What do you know?
That is a cool story. And that is exactly what I've been doing with my folks. I mean, and that is what we have to do. We have to give them a path. Adam is a lot younger than me, right? I'm not going to do this forever. He's going to do it when I'm done. So I can't just say, oh, now it's yours. Good luck. So I started the process 16 years ago, whatever it was when he started with me, 20 years ago, probably. It's been a growth plan, right? And now the guy is 42 years old. He makes a lot of money for a department manager. Well, he's VP/department manager, but I mean, he's, I don't know, $600,000 or $700,000 a year. Who thought that would happen in an HVAC plumbing company for a young guy like that, right? I mean, it's crazy.
That's
why not?
That's the whole purpose of why we do this. That's great,
Yeah. I mean, it's all possible. Let's just get our businesses fixed so this can happen. It's not that hard if you know the plan. We know the plan on No BS. So watch these videos and implement it. And if you don't understand, reach out.
Well, that's why I'm glad
we'll walk you through it.
Because, it's sometimes you have to see the people in action and actually, so I encourage, I've had, I don't know, a couple hundred people come through different organizations I've been a part of, doing tours and what have you, and just sitting there and, watching it. It's not very exciting. Just like if we went to your business, I'm sure it's not a very exciting, thrilling, environment, but just to watch how everybody operates, how people communicate, understand what their expectations are, just very basic things that other people, I take for granted because I've been exposed to for 20 plus years, that most people haven't. Most people don't understand that, they're used to their current environment and their current capabilities, and they're, stuck at $2.5 million and trying to get to 3. And it's like, okay, well, you can't have that money. You have to not only have the capability and infrastructure to be at that $5 million, but you have to understand what it looks like. You have to be able to visualize that. Yeah. If you can't visualize, this is, budgeting coming into 2025. I said this in the call today. If you, put together your budgets, whatever growth you're going to have, you want to be, 10%, 20%, 30% growth, but you have to feel it. You have to understand what the business is going to look like at that time, how much cash flow, what are you going to do with the cash flow? How are you going to be reinvesting that money? Are there any, little surprises that you're going to give to people for their success? Are you going to reward yourself along the way? You have to feel it and have to clearly see that you're going to get that by the end of the year in order for you to make it happen.
That's awesome. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. So we're talking, we're getting ready to start talking about budgets too. We've already kind of started that because it's already, almost October now. And you need to start planning. And the general consensus is we don't really know what 25 is going to be like. Possibly it's, we've never had a flat year. I mean, we've grown a lot every year. But, I was talking to him. It's like, what if we are flat? What are we going to do if we're flat? And the guys go immediately, this Adam and Jeff, George, Megan. And they're like, well, why don't we just work on the margins? And if we're going to be flat, why don't we see if we can raise the margin 10%? I'm like, whoa. All right. I like this story. This is really what we should be talking about. Okay, we're going to be flat, so let's work on what can we do to fix the margin, to make it better. Okay, we don't care if we're flat. Let's fix the margin. And if we're not flat, great. If we are, great too. But the point is we don't have one lever. We can get more efficient and more simplified and efficient, no matter how simplified and efficient we are. It never stops. You can continue to improve. And so we're just giving you 4 things that will make a big difference in your business. It's transparency, bonus, and teach your department managers how to run the business on the gross profit. Do the same with your technicians, the gross profit. And then stop being in that Peter principle of hiring improperly. Hire the right people to manage your departments. It's not easy to get the right people. Again, reach out. I can help guide you on what to look for, what to do. I'm just going to have to write a book at some point. I got to put all this stuff in a book to make it easy. So I just say, hey, here's the book. Go read page 30.
Just go through all the videos and then,
Yeah, our videos, which would be easier. People even read anymore? I don't know. I do.
After teaching and being transparent, so the levers, though, just for some more nuggets here, the levers that these managers can push to achieve the margins that they're setting out to achieve. One you talked about is don't let the technicians and these guys just control their own pricing, right? Watch the discounting, make sure that the pricing of the jobs is correct. 2, I would say, make sure that you've got a handle on what's happening in the field, that you understand what is happening when every one of your technicians is in the home, what the protocol looks like, who is exceptional at it, who needs some help at it. You have to understand what's happening while they're in the home, just to get the result that you want. The next would be, manage those people to achieve the KPIs. And then if they're not, training, retraining, etc., that's the accountability part. But most importantly, controlling the labor cost, managing the payroll function. And that level of accountability, that takes an extra level of accountability that most people don't have. Mm-hmm. When Sally turns in her payroll sheet and says she needs to make $850 and you calculate it out and it was $675, having the stones to go back and say, Sally, I don't understand why you turned in $850. It's $675. Show me what you're seeing. Yeah. And don't do that again. Yeah. And that does. And I'm just using that basic example that I've seen.
That's a complicated pay system causing that situation.
Yeah. Complicated pay systems. But if you've got a margin problem as an owner or a manager, this is what I am constantly amazed at, because we have these conversations. I mean, that's what you talk to everybody about, right? Margin. There's something wrong with the margin. What's wrong with the margin? Typically, it's in labor, right? But you know what almost no one does that I advise them to do that I would always do when there was a margin problem? I would do the payroll myself. And nobody goes to like, I don't even know how to do the payroll. I'm like, okay, it's electronic. It's okay. download it, watch how does the information get put in? How are you verifying it? Like, you just got to go through every step and do it yourself, because you will see glowing, you'll save 10% of your payroll just by doing that.
Good job. Good job. Yeah. Oh, I'm very passionate about this as well as you are. We've seen this over and over and over again. We've experienced it ourselves until we figured it out. This right here is a biggie. Again, we didn't even hit on the labor brokering part of it, which is the biggest of all the biggies within the COGS above the line is the labor part. We'll hit more on that on another episode, because it's our job to dispel what we're spending all of our money on, all the money, the millions and millions of dollars are being spent on coaching every year and trade shows and all this stuff, which is all good stuff for the industry. But it doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean it's the right thing. And so open your eyes to your business. I guess the best way for me to put it is it's your business. It's not your manufacturer. It's not your distributors. It's yours. So let's start running our businesses like they're ours again, and let those people work for us instead of us working for them. Let's not work for the manufacturers and distributors anymore. Let's not do that.
Was the biggest scam ever. Like, it's, the biggest scam ever was when the manufacturers decided that they were going to get in the coaching game and they were going to go out and hire coaches. You could go see this coach. We'll sponsor you to go see this. It's like, okay, but you realize it's like, Pfizer creating the, health problems, right? It's like,
yeah,
we're going to teach you how to do everything we want you to do, not necessarily what's going to make you more profitable, but
yeah,
everything we want you to know to sell more boxes for us.
Yeah. So it's your business. And so you need to remember it's yours. You're the one that took the risk, got out there on your own, took all the pain and suffering, probably pulled your spouse and your family into it. And now you're all into it neck deep, and get it back. Just take it back. Just take back your business, and let's open our eyes up to these things that really make a big difference. And what we're asking you, or not even asking you, we're not even asking you to do this. We're just going to tell you about it, and it's your decision if you want to do it. Really what we're trying to say here is, if you take your business back and start opening your eyes to possibilities can happen. And you can do it. What we're talking about here isn't rocket science. It's just basic cleaning up the mess we've created. Let's just clean up our messes and the messes that we've been instructed to do. I know it's show season right now. It's starting. It's getting going. There's some shows this week. There's some shows next week. It's going to be the same thing. And most of these shows are typically on stage as these guys that have made a whole bunch of money in our industry. And, I've made a lot of money in this industry, but I want to stay on the ground floor with you guys. I want to be where y'all are, right? I don't want to get on stage and talk about my success. We want to get on stage and talk about how we can help you build businesses, right? Everybody's in this world that we're in now. If you see a stage full of multimillionaires, they're there for one reason. They want to buy your business. They're not there because, you know what I mean? Which is okay. So, this is great. We're in a great economy now that we can even have this happen.
There's value in it. There's value in listening to everybody share their experiences. I love it, but don't fall into the shiny object trap.
Yes.
Right. Like, let's this, we're going to have these 5 speakers and then we're going to roll out this product and it's going to be some weird, new bamboozled AI featured this, and it's going to, do this. This is going to train all your text for you. Stop. There are no magic bullets as much as the people will try to tell you there are. You have to understand how to do everything in your business. You have to have a protocol for everything in your business. Your managers have to understand how to do that. You have to be transparent. There's no one's going to get up on stage and say, it's just, you got to do a lot of hard ass work. That's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But that's the truth.
Right. You do. You really do. And you just got to think for yourself and take your own business back and just do these simple things. These are very simple things. And all we talked about is quit paying on revenue, quit bonusing on revenue, just bonus on margin. All right. How hard is that? It's not hard at all. It's not hard at all. But it will fix a lot. It's really simple. It's not a shiny object. It's just very basic, simple stuff. And so, if you're going to all these things and you're seeing all these guys that have made multi-million dollars of money in this industry, it's great to listen to their stories and maybe give you inspiration to help you get there, but you need a way to get there, right? Not everybody can just do it just because you heard someone talk about doing it. We got to do this little bit of work here, the work that we're talking about to get yourself.
And even when we talk here, I kind of take for granted that people understand what a proper financial statement looks like and what goes into it. But I mean, how often do you help somebody? And you said the first thing you ask for is financials. How often do you help somebody and the financials that you receive are just doesn't make any sense? You got overhead items and the cost of goods sold. You got there's no labor in your cost of goods sold. It's all down below the line. It's how often does that happen? Because it happens
almost always. Almost always. So
maybe we got to go back even farther, because fundamentally, there's a couple of different ways you can spin it, but fundamentally, the financial statement's a financial statement. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that go into your cost of goods sold that all of us agree with, and some of them try to, you might get fancy and add some taxes or whatever. Who cares? But there's certain things that go into your cost of goods sold. There's a certain order that your overhead should be in, and the result is profit, right? Or lack thereof. But how are you going to do any of the stuff that we talked about if you don't have a proper financial statement and you don't understand it yourself? So, I mean, maybe we should, peel that onion back a little bit at some point and start going over some financial statements.
I think so. I think we go over some financial statements, and then we just talk about all the money we're leaving on the table. You should always be running your business like you're going to sell it, right? We've heard that over and over again. And no matter what the multiples are, even when they were at their highest, just a year and a half ago, whatever it was, about a year and a half ago, when they were at the peak, everybody was still selling on a discount because they only are using the two levers. They're not using all this stuff that we're talking about. They were using the procurement, discounting, and raising prices. And so a lot of money has been left on the table for a lot of companies that could have gotten way more money with just using these simple changes. These simple changes can double the value, triple the value, quadruple the value of your business in days. It takes time to show it. PE firms don't want to buy crappy businesses that don't make much money. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to do the work. They want good, solid businesses. So if you're wanting to sell, you need to do
predictable cash flow.
Yes, they buy predictable cash flow, and it's all there. I've said this a million times. All the money is already in your business. You're just not getting it to the bottom line. So let us help you get there. That's what we're going to do. So I appreciate y'all watching. I know we rambled on a little bit.
We brought up, a PhD in management and The Rock in the same, hey.
From two goons. So we'll see you guys and girls on the next one. Thanks again. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to y'all later.
See you guys.
No BS with Billy and Landon is produced and delivered to you by Sarah Systems. At Sarah Systems, we've created a better way to run your home service business and unlock unprecedented growth. Our field service software was designed by real home service professionals to help you save steps, charge for previously unbillable time, and win more business. But the true change requires more than software. Our live coaching helps you understand and control the aspects of your business that matter most. It's about time for a new era of service, and we're leading the way. If you're ready to join the hundreds of other contractors who've been able to increase profit margins more than 50% within 6 months, visit Sarah.tech today. That's Sarah, SERA.tech today.